Hi, Tom. I'm working it out. I think technology,
Oh yeah. Hi, Christine.
Hi. Okay, so I think I have okay, so when I'm not in Zoom, I am in OBS, people can chat that way. When I'm in Zoom, I cannot be in OBS at all. And so I think it should be now that people can comment on YouTube. When I'm not in Zoom, I am in OBS, we can chat that way. When I'm in Zoom, I cannot be in OBS at all. And so I think it should be now that
So I got a question for you, Christine. You there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay.
Evidently there's somewhat of a lag, so I'm trying to figure out that I'm listening to you as well as doing this, so don't think I'm not. Go ahead.
So I'm just kind of curious. I mean, I know you're trying to do more of an outreach with YouTube. Is that your objective?
What do you mean?
Well, I was just wondering, instead of doing the Zoom calls, why you're jumping out to YouTube and doing the YouTube thing too. Also.
Because there are many Indianians that they just don't want to do Zoom. They don't want to be on camera, but they still want to participate.
Oh, okay.
So this is an opportunity to be able to at least be able to still be able to be technically in a live call without being in it, and then they can also then be able to comment with others.
Okay. I was on YouTube one night and I don't see how there's a chat in there. I mean, I was on my phone. I don't know if the mobile app has something to do with the computer.
I don't know anything about anything mobile.
I
And
didn't see any chat feature.
well, but when you're on the browser page viewing the thing, there's a chat like on the side, or there's a chat section on the side, or maybe even like a click, something you have to click to say show it.
So you're getting interaction with these people on YouTube? They're actually chatting with you?
Yes, they are commenting in the chat during the call. So we've been able to start connecting.
Okay, well, that's good.
Where do I have? Okay, so we're getting I gotta get this pulled up so I can see it too, because that's where I'm going to be able to see their chats in YouTube. So I gotta have that up. Okay. Yeah, there's a lag. Maybe I need to turn this on. Okay, can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so I have to have the browser page up for YouTube, so there's a lag to it. And so I went ahead, but I turned the volume off so it doesn't do a second feedback for us in the call. Now let me see. Okay, so when you're on YouTube on the browser page, again, I don't know about cell phone, on browser, below the screen on the right, it has a little drop down. It says you can select either talk chat or live chat.
Okay.
And then that will be where everyone can comment. They do have to subscribe just subscribe for a minute before they can comment. But then I've been working on trying to get that minimized, but some things you have to do. Oh, I can't watch that either at the same time because it's such a lag. Okay. All right, so I see it is live on YouTube. I was able to, well, I still gotta kind of keep that pulled up so I can be able to view any chats as people comment. So let me go, I'll go ahead and start and put a comment in. Then I'm Christine. And I am on Gibson County. All right. So we'll go, I'll get things going here. But either way, I like to try to do either through Zoom or through OBS so I can still be able to record the calls. So it's still, so it's not all possession of YouTube with a possibility of them deleting the file, you know. So that way we still have record for the assembly. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and we'll get things started. It is Sunday, March the 12th, 2023. I am Christine Bundy, State Coordinator for the Indiana Assembly, and we'll go ahead and take a moment and honor our Creator. All right, then we'll go into the Bivens decision. And I'm going to be counting. Oh, don't tell me I switched the camera on. Don't tell me you've lost me now.
Yeah, I don't see it. It's a black screen.
Well, I did turn it back. Okay, so I don't know about that at the moment. That's not, let me.
Went back to your picture, your default video.
All right, so it's not letting me come back in here. Okay, let me make sure I can screen share because that would be most important so that we can get through the presentation. Are you able to see that?
Yeah, it just came up.
Awesome. Okay, so then I'm going to turn me off. Well, I'll leave it up. Eventually we'll figure out if it kicks back on.
Yeah, it'll show
Okay.
you on the outside of the screen, so you're okay.
Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead with this. The Bivens decision, this meeting is private, bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory rhetoric in public forums is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner. To eliminate all conflicts and false allegations, is there anyone in attendance at today's meeting that is a member or agent of any law enforcement agency or public agency of the federal, state, county, city, or township agencies present? Is there any response to the Bivens decision for the first time? Hearing none, is there any response to the Bivens decision for the second time? Hearing none, is there any response to the Bivens decision for the third and final time? Furthermore, anyone who is under false pretenses, anyone who is working for any foreign government, including the territory of the United States or municipal United States, anyone who is being paid or coerced to be here must fully disclose their presence and purpose now or leave the call. Okay. So, of course, I'm periodically stopping for a drink of water. All right, here are our usual assembly member points of order, so you get an idea of the kind of behavior to be able to help support this process. Here is the general assembly member agreement. It's not required to be a general, to have it on the assembly record to be a general assembly member. However, if you're wanting to be a juror, you will need to have that as well. And then here is the letter of intent to join the juror assembly. And so you'll need that as well. All as it is, being that Indiana is not all seats in state level, so the federation is still in the main directive of ensuring that the assembly is on the right path. The Federation is the one that is going through the process of vetting all elected offices. So a background check and vetting process still has to occur, but it is also, you have to ensure that you are fully armored up, and that's my responsibility. Make sure you have all of your paperwork on the record, and then we start the background check process, and then it goes to the Federation for the vetting process. The only ones that do not go through the vetting background process or background check, but are still required to be armored up, as they're not, like, it's not a regular elected office, but those are for the jurors. Okay. But all other state level seats at this point in time right now still have to go through the Federation for background check and vetting process. All right. So here is a link for supporting the assembly, the Debt Redemption Center link with updated information. We had an update walkthrough training on Wednesday evening, and we did it on YouTube. So the replay is up there, and as well as the updated instructions are on the Debt Redemption Center link page. As well as there on that page is the listing of all the DUNS numbers for every state of Indiana corporate entity that is connected with the state of Indiana. So the link is there that has the entire DUNS report, as well as the added spreadsheet with all those added corporate entities are up there. There's also a link there that is for all the Indiana judicial offices and addresses, things like that. So you can work through that information as well. All right, here we go. All right, so again, I am Christine. I'm moderator for the assembly calls, and I am on Gibson County. So we'll go ahead, and who else is on the call?
Tom Becker of Lake County.
Lake County. All right, I see another Lake County in the comments. Welcome, Clogman. Welcome to the call on YouTube comments. So I'm going to try my best to keep track. Bear with me as I'm getting used to this social media process again. So I'm trying to do my best. So also remember, don't put anything in the comments you don't want read or recorded, because I have it set to where that's included, so everybody can take part in conversation. So again, welcome, Clogman, Kenneth. All right, on Lake County. You and Tom, both on Lake County, can be able to connect together. And you're more than welcome if you're, again, it is live and recorded, so bear in mind what contact information if you want to share with each other or figure out another way how you want to connect. All right, welcome. So let me get back to my screen share here. Okay, so I'm adding Lake County. We have two on Lake County. We have Kenneth and Tom. Oh. And I am here. All right, so then I will have on the assembly website the updated PDF of this, that it keeps the record of the details. But I do have, and welcome Antonio on the call. Thank you for being on the call. When you get a moment, as your sound checks in, you're welcome to say what county you're on, so we can get you added in here as well. And then it's still saying you're connecting. No worries, technology. We all work through this. Give you time. You'll be able to interject as you can, and I'll give feedback. And but at this point in time, I do have the PDF, a link to the PDF presentation in the description on the YouTube link for this call, so you can be able to go there to have the PDF of it now. But then I'll have the final PDF that includes our minute information on the assembly website where it keeps track of the agenda and the recording details. All right. Okay, it still shows you are connecting. Are you able to put a comment in the chat, Antonio, as to what county you're on? As you're figuring that out. We'll give you a moment to be able to work with that. I'll check one more time over on YouTube. Hey, we got John again, another Lake County. Welcome. John on Lake County joined us on YouTube. Thank you very much, John. I'm adding you in here too. Okay, hold on. That way you're officially in the record as well. All right, Thomas, I'm going to put you first because you were in the call first on Lake County. So I'm putting you first. And it was kind of keep every so. And then we have John. All right, welcome everybody. We got Lake County is rocking. They've got a lot of nationals papered up and armored up. So they're in a great place to be able to start building at a local level, at least connecting some of these, getting some of the bridge going of getting communication, start getting a network together there as we go along. So that's awesome. Lake County, right on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and keep right on going. Antonio, were you able to get a chance to see if that worked for you? You are on the Zoom call, so I try to give everybody a chance. But we understand technology too, so. Yeah, we're not here. Were you able to get a chat in as to what county you're on? In the bottom, I think, is the chat. If you're on your cell phone, I'm not sure where it would be on a cell phone. Maybe Tom can chime in as to where to help you find it there, if that would help. Not sure, because each device type of technology is different in between each. All right, so when you get a chance to work that into the chat, it would be in the bottom or wherever your menu bar is at, and it'll have like a little comment box to it that looks like a little comment window. So, all right, we'll go ahead and keep things going. All right, we got Jeff on Marion County. Welcome. Welcome. Everyone's working their way in. All right, so let me go ahead and get you in on Jeff. Welcome. Love to see that the men are stepping up. Not to say that I'm disappointed there aren't women here, but there's a lot of women that do things behind the scenes. So, I just want to make sure that I'm just going to do that for you, dear. All right. So, all right, we'll just keep right on going. Maybe Antonio, you can also get over on YouTube and post your comment for what county you're on YouTube. That might be easier for you to do there, but still be able to at least be here on the call with us here on Zoom as an idea to be able to help you. All right, I think so far that I got everybody there. We'll go ahead. All right, so I wanted to go ahead and change things up a little bit because we all know that the Washington Assembly has really been moving. Terry Somm, she is the state coordinator for the Washington Assembly. You would know her as the moderator for the Monday night webinar calls with Anna. Every Monday night, she has been doing that since the inaugural webinar. So that is an every Monday night thing. Terry, at the same time, Terry she is the super lead coordinator for all the coordinators of all 50 assemblies. And so and of course she's an Aries, so that's why she is on fire, getting things moving. She is also, it was a large, well, it was because of a state court case she's dealing with that was able to get the Washington Assembly's General Assembly standing up and in session. And she was also able to get the Militia Assembly standing up. So the Washington Assembly is well on their way to having all 4 pillars. All the assemblies have 4 pillars. That way we have a strong foundation, right? That's the General Assembly, Business Assembly, General Assembly, and the Militia Assembly. Get those up, and then the Indiana Assembly is in full session at that point, and then the state coordinator's role also sunsets at that point. Woo! All right, so I want to go ahead. This was the business plan that Terry presented to Washington Assembly February 4th. So this is a recent one. And I figured since she's open to sharing and we know things are moving on her, on Washington, and the last time I looked, there was over 1,000 in the LRO for Washington State. Now, I can't say for sure how many are papered up and armored up. I don't have all those kind of details, but as Federation Recording Secretary as well, I could at least be able to see, it would take me a little digging. I'm not going into all that. That's none of my business, but there is, between those that are at least papered up, armored up, and in process, there's over 1,000 for Washington State for their assembly. So they are moving. And so let's see what they're doing. What are they bringing? What is Terry bringing to the table that is helping these people move? Because that's where we're at now. This is the time for action. This is no longer, if you want to sit back and watch everything like you can with the US, where you just sit back and watch like all the Senate hearings and all their committees and everything, that's the same kind of concept. You can do that with the federal government and the state of Indiana. They have live videos of all their General Assembly calls. But if you're not, we're here to actually start doing some work, to start bringing the change, bringing things back into course correction, being land and soil jurisdiction. And that means we've actually got to do something. So while everything has already been laid out, again, nothing new under the sun, it's already been there. It was already put there for us. And for Indiana, it's outlined in the Northwest Ordinance. We just got to actually follow it. But it takes those with standing, those that have standing with their paperwork, to be able to make this happen. If you don't have the paperwork, you're still a US citizen. You have no authority to do anything. You're just floundering around, making everyone think you're doing a lot of good work. You're helping a lot of people, but you're not really, because you have not moved forward to progress anymore. All right, so now we're at that point. We've got to keep moving forward. So let's see what Terry is presenting just this past February for Washington. All right, so she brought this here to bring an understanding and knowledge of what is the responsibility of the Federation. So there is a government power structure. So in the corporate government power flow, there's the Fed, state, county, city, and then persons. And so it's top down. The power flow during our assembling, the Federation of States to the people, city, county, state. And then it's the Confederation of States, and then the Fed. And it's federation, not federal. Okay. And this is where this time it's for the base, because this is where the broadest to be able to bring. Had the Federation not been able to call the states back into session, in that because James Belcher set forth the safeguards of having the seals and calling forth the assemblies back into session, we wouldn't be able to do this. So this opened the door for the people to be able to start recording their paperwork on their county. And so as soon as they do their county, as soon as they put their paperwork on their record, their county is immediately populated in that moment because of them, and their state as well. So it helps to support organically as we go forward. And then at the same time as the state is growing and the people are growing in their roles as to what they're doing, there would be a confederation of states, but at that point, then also is less involvement with the state level at that point. Then there's power flow after state has assembled. So then it's where the federation then releases the power officially to the people, the men and women of that state. And then they work through the various levels, but still then the state level connects with the Federation of States for that support internationally. All right. Here is the mission statement. Now, this is the mission statement that's been set for all the assemblies. It is in the General Assembly Handbook, and the Indiana Assembly uses it as well. And of course, it has Indiana in place of Washington. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it with the Indiana Assembly mission statement. Our Indiana Assembly is dedicated to the restoration of a complete and fully operational land and soil jurisdiction, state and county court system, serving the people of Indiana, the preservation of the national trust, the enforcement of the public law, the upholding of the federal constitution owed to our state and people, and repopulation of our land and soil jurisdiction, the filling of vacated public offices, and the reclamation of our material and intellectual public and private assets. To these ends, we, the living people of Indiana, have called the eligible Indiana nationals and citizen electors to assemble and to serve as jurors and officers, and we have established the process and procedure to qualify jurors and others competent to hold state citizenship and public office. We do this peacefully and without rancor in the exercise of our unincorporated powers and capacities. All right, the value statement. We stand under the laws of nature. The laws of nature's God. The 10 Commandments, the Declaration of Independence. We accept the fiduciary responsibility of the Indiana Trust and operate under the prudent man standard, meaning we treat our state business as if it were our own business. We keep the peace and uphold the public law. We report crime. We value each man and woman as a unique creation of our Creator and recognize them as a powerful co-creator. We willingly choose to self-govern and strive to show up as our best self in each and every experience. It goes on that we do not and will not condone or participate in any form of insurrection, rebellion, or creation of armed forces other than the lawful state assemblies or assembly militias operated as they are supposed to be operated within each state. And our land-based Continental Marshal Service, which is our jurisdictional interface with the U.S. Marshals Service. We perform under the treaties and constitutional agreements already established and for supporting the restored American government, the reconstruction thereof, and will become responsible for the conduct of the restored Confederation and Federal Republic. All right, so the assembly structure or lack thereof, but this, which means it hasn't been in place, and this is what we're putting in place. So the assembly process that we're engaged in is community building. We're not building a corporation. Corporate business structures do not apply. Let us all keep that firmly in view. There are jobs to do and functions to perform, but the principles of hierarchy and compartmentalization are largely absent. Ideally, everyone in every assembly will know all the jobs and functions, and numerous people will be ready to fill vacancies and bulwark efforts as needed. Your state assembly should resemble a family gathering, because in essence, that is what it is and what is intended to be: an extended family of friends, relatives, and neighbors working together for their mutual long-term security and benefit. All right, so the definition. So the state assembly consists of one body politic composed of all declared state nationals, state citizens living within the borders of each state. Each state assembly is organized to perform 4 functions, and this is what I brought up earlier about what we call the 4 pillars. Here are the 4 pillars. The General Assembly provides a discussion and decision forum for intra-state business and acts as a committee of the whole to decide issues of general interest, conducts elections, and provides oversight for all assembly functions. The second pillar, the International Business Assembly, which is composed entirely of state citizens, conducts the international and interstate business of the assembly. The Jural Assembly provides the court services and oversees the grand jury, trial juries, officers, and functions of the courts. And then the Assembly Militia is focused on promoting public safety within the boundaries of their state and is the well-regulated militia guaranteed to each state for its internal security. Now, something to clarify. While you do have the choice to declare whether you are a national or a citizen, you do not actually step into title of actually serving in the role, not title, but actually serving in the role as a citizen until you're in either elected into a role because you've agreed to support and serve the state to be able to with the build of the assembly, and you're armored up. You are fully papered up at that point. So this is something that needs to be clear as to the difference between a national and a citizen. You can be fully armored up as a national, but choose to stay as a national, and you're not actually acting as a citizen until the moment you step up to act as a citizen. Because unlike as a U.S. citizen that's a citizen 24/7, you're a national all the time until you need to step up because you're stepping up to serve others in that point. And then because in order to be able to do that with the assembly, you have to be fully armored up. All the paperwork, all the cancellation letters have to be completed to be a citizen as an assembly member in order to ensure that there are no conflicts of interest. You can be national and papered up as a General Assembly member as you're working through getting armored up, and you're still eligible to be able to support with supporting the decision-making process and helping with the voting and stuff. You just can't be elected into an office until you're fully armored up. And then at this point, as we are still at state level, all elected office roles, with the exception of jurors, are to go through the background check and vetting process with the Federation. But all, including jury members, are to be fully armored up. Okay. Let me check, make sure any comments to add. Oh, Jeff can't decide if YouTube or Zoom, right? Yeah, well, my camera was working on Zoom for me, but it's not working now. But at least I'm able to screen share and we can be able to, I've been at you, Jeff, have been able, we've had some of these issues with Zoom and YouTube. So I think I at least kind of figured that out, because obviously you're chatting and I'm in Zoom. So I've at least narrowed that down. But my camera was on. I took a moment and turned it off. And when I went to turn it back on, it decided that I was not going to do it anymore. Okay. All right. So let me, and I don't see any chat in there. Okay. All right. So let's see. We'll keep going. All right. So General Assembly. General Assembly meetings are, generally speaking, public meetings. If the General Assembly wishes to conduct any private or sensitive intrastate business, they simply divide the agenda and close that portion of the meeting so that only state nationals and state citizens participate. That means those that do have their paperwork on the record and fully armored up at that point. All state nationals and state citizens must be allowed to attend all General Assembly meetings. This answers your question, Tom, about being able to give more opportunities for them, for Indianians to be able to get to these calls. Okay. Regular assembly meetings are scheduled and posted in advance. That's what I'm trying to get through, getting set up, organized with the scheduling aspect. Adoption of rules of order for the conduct of meetings is highly encouraged. And at this point in time, there is the points of order. There is the link that's at the very beginning of this presentation that is at least in play at this point to be able to start working with. Publication of an agenda at least a week prior to all regularly scheduled meetings is also highly recommended. And at this point, there hasn't been any actual movement of business to be discussed to be able to have that kind. It's all been the base of regular, just updating on everyone about any new nationals, any new in process, and everybody just seems to want to know how much money is coming in. You know, they're interested in that. But so we're making some changes so we can start actually bring business, start getting the work moving forward here. Okay. The business assembly meetings are relatively rare events at first, but become increasingly important going forward, especially as the state of state unincorporated is established. These meetings are open to state citizens who are the only ones with standing to vote on the international and interstate business under consideration. Okay, these are state citizens. That means in this point, not just that you've declared that you're a state citizen, but that you have actually completed and are fully armored up with all of the paperwork process and completed the cancellation of the contracts. Okay. Keep that in mind as the distinct difference when it refers to a state citizen actively participating with the assembly. The business assembly gets its direction from the General Assembly. General Assembly meetings are special meetings organized by the active members of the General Assembly, all of whom are qualified jurors able to serve on both the grand jury and trial juries or officers of the courts. Okay, and this is where many are misinformed, well, they are. It is because the version that the U.S. has brought forward, or at least, let me rephrase that the municipal has brought forward at the state level, is that you are summoned to jury duty where the whole scene has already been set up, the script's already in play. You just show up, sit in the seat, you hear them have the discussion of who they've already agreed to allow to talk on the stand. They've already decided what questions will be asked because they already have the answers that they're seeking. So they already have everything, the whole script lined up. All you have to do is show up with that summons to make sure your vessel shows up. Otherwise, you could possibly be put in in jail if you don't show up. And then you go sit there for the time, and then you get then a little piddly paycheck for the few hours that you were there. And your employer gives you credit for being out to take the time off because you did your civic duty to go sit for jury duty, right? Okay. Well, that's not how that works over here on the General Assembly. We're not going to summons you because we're not into the summonings business, but it also means that you have work to do. Even though you're a juror, you're all coming together as jurors. You've got things to start building to get things in play as we are waiting for at least papered up Indianians with cases that they can even be able to start presenting, because it's the jurors that are reviewing all the cases, and they're the ones that are advising and consulting the Indianian, giving them some guidance and direction on what steps they could possibly take. It's the jury that's also reviewing the evidence, determining if any more evidence should be called forward. And then at that point, it's the jury that decides if they're going to move forward with the case. The jury actually does a lot of work in this process, whereas on the municipal side, the whole thing is set up as a script, and you just show up, play your role, and you'll get that paycheck afterwards. Okay, so that's where, if you really are wanting to be a juror, to do it as a land and soil juror, there's work that has to be done to get the whole building process together. The jurors have to come together. First, they're qualified as jurors. We're ensuring that they are fully armored up. They have all the paperwork on the record, have followed through with all the cancellation of the contracts, and are then qualified to be a juror. And so jurors, again, do not have to go through the background check or vetting process at the federation level, because those are not elected roles, but they have to be qualified, which means they do have to have all the paperwork done. And but then if you're wanting to step up and be elected as an officer supporting in the court, then you will at that point then have a background check vetting process from the federation, and that because right now it is all state level, so the federation has that oversight. Okay. All right. The militia assembly. Assembly militias often meet before or after General Assembly meetings, but many also maintain a weekend schedule for training and to conduct exercises and conduct business unique to the militia. Okay, so again, everything has got work that has to be done to build this and bring this forward. All able-bodied members of the assembly between the ages of 21 and 65, not really worried about age, are expected to actively support the militia in one way or another, either as active militia or acting in support, supply, communications, administrative positions. Okay? If you were able to do all of this for a false thing that you thought you should have done, now you have an opportunity to do it for the right reasons and in the right place, where it's time to stand up now. All right. Next steps: continue to grow the numbers in the state assembly so everyone is out in outreach. Populate our counties to build county structure. We are currently at 26 counties that are populated. Yes, I want to say 26 counties that are populated. That does not mean that their counties are fully, have enough people on there to be able to move forward in building their county. Right at this point now, only Lake County has enough to be able to start building at the county level. But any elected offices are still, because we still haven't set up the state as a whole yet. Any elected office roles, even at county level, would have to go through a federation process in the background check process. No getting out of that. We got the mess that's in the US currently is because everyone failed to do their job. You don't get to play well, we only want all of that information and check done for others. Just ignore me. I've been through all of the background check. My background check went all through the FBI. So I've been through that whole process and vetted by the Federation. I've gone through that process. And that's why I'm also able to be the state coordinator. And there are opportunities to also be co-level state coordinators to help support, but you too will also have to make sure you are fully armored up, have to have a background check, have to go through the Federation vetting process. But it is possible. Okay, so assemble and train our militia. So almost everyone is in the militia. Begin our training on first aid, disaster response, build community, know your neighbors. I have been stressing this at every General Assembly call. You need to get to know your neighbors within your community. If you see members in your community that are physically challenged, mentally challenged, you can be able to see how you can be able to support, to be able to help support others. I took a moment just to check the chat, and Jeff, if you'll check 2 weeks ago, last assembly call, the agenda, it'll give you numbers like that you're looking for. Okay. I've been stating, get to know those in your community. If there are elderly that you can be able to support, if there are families that have large children and they may need some help, or they're going to need, see how you can be able to help within your community. First aid training that goes along with, it's called CERT, Community Emergency Response Training. If you'll go back to even all the way up to the very last call that we've had, I've been presenting that we still are going to be moving forward with community emergency response training. That means you actually need to start going to those, being a part of getting involved in those trainings. All right, so then it's populate our General Assembly structure. Education and training is essential, and this is where it starts with the litigation committee, which I've also been presenting in every assembly call, even all the way up to the previous assembly call, is that we are seeking members for the litigation committee to be able to support the General Assembly. So just if you'll be able to go back to past recordings and presentations and see that I have been staying consistent with the information that has been presented from the Federation level, and the steps are being provided. We just have to actually move on them and act on them to get things going. All right, so General Assembly functioning well with good attendance is what we're wanting to get to. We need to continue to add new members who are ready, willing, and able to serve, not just wanting to show up for the calls. But we all want to come and get together to see everybody, right? That's a good reason to be able to come to remind us that we're not alone out here and we're not crazy. We are like-minded, right? And again, that's where bringing in YouTube to be able to open it up, because many just aren't camera type people, but still want to be able to participate. So the only other two options to be able to do that is Facebook and Twitch. I don't know anything. I think Twitch is, I don't think that's us. And Facebook is just it's FBI. So we don't really need to be there anyway. So I think right now, at least anyway, YouTube is a large pool to be able to support those out there. and have a platform to be able to share. Okay, so the business assembly comprised of state citizens. Again, from the assembly perspective, a state citizen is fully armored up with all the cancellation processes done. It's not just that you've declared that you're a state citizen and presented your 1779. Okay. Comprised of state citizens who have a single allegiance to the state. International business. So far, we've only had 3 items to vote on. That was the calling the assembly in session, the peace treaty, and the public law. And they're all on the public record for the Indiana Assembly website that has the copies that the assembly sent forward at that time from the elections from the Indiana Assembly, as well as it is on the Federation site for the federal public record. Not much business for the business assembly to do yet, but will gain momentum as our counties populate and the state assemblies grow. So as the counties populate and we're actually getting the assemblies to grow, we can then be able to start connecting with other states, being able to support doing business, supporting others. There's things a lot of things we probably could have been helping Ohio through all of this, but there's not much we could be able to do at this point in time, right? So things to think about, because that would be, if there were something like if there were to be able to send support, vote to send support, who would be able to make that connection with the Ohio Assembly to share that support, things like that, because that's a international, state to state. So think about it. You got to remember to think about things like that too. Like over in Europe, they have they're different countries, whereas we've been trained that we're states here, but we have to look at a perspective that we're each our own country. Hi, Brian. Welcome to the call. Which are you the Brian that I know of on Marion County?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. All right. I'll make sure and add you into the PDF here for our final version on the website presentation for the records. Okay. To add
Yeah.
you're not the only one on Marion County. Just want you to know, welcome, because we got YouTube going on live for comments. We've got another one in Marion County there. So if you wanted to say hi and exchange, remember it is being recorded for the comments. So be careful what you might share of contact information there. What this is slide 19. I'll go back to it. Let me get you on here. And we got Brian. Awesome. All right. 19. Okay. Oh. All right, so General Assembly, we need to get more people studying the excellence of common law. Okay, I had started a weekly common law training call 2 years ago. It was going well for a while, but then it went for the longest time where it got to where no one was showing up because it was just easier to listen to the recording, and then they were getting to where it was more so just for me to read the book and read out the questions and answers too, and nobody actually was moving forward if they were on the call to be able to actually engage for it to be a studying type of a environment. So but there are so you can be able to get the book at comment. I wish my video camera would show, but it's called The Common Lawyer by Brent Allen Winters, The Excellence of Common Law. This is the link where you can be able to get the book, or there's also a PDF version. This is very helpful. If those are interested to pick it back up again, to do it as a call, maybe a monthly call or a bi-weekly call to dive into this as a group study, I'm open to that, but it also means participating as a group study and not it turn into Christine's just going to read for everybody. Okay, because the whole point is so we can actually start diving in and gaining the knowledge so we can be able to bring it forward. And anybody that's willing, that wants to even, decide they got the book and they say, well, I've read this segment, I'll be glad to go ahead and put a little presentation together and bring that forward. That would be helpful too. You're welcome to do that. Any kind of support you want to be able to help, if you're willing to show up to get back into these calls of going through the common law, it might be something I could probably do better, more like late morning, in order to make sure I still take care of my family, and making sure I have times for recordings and things like that for the assembly. But if you're open to that, you're welcome to send me an email to say, hey, I'm interested in participating in a study group. We can do that. But again, a study group means we come and study together. We share and discuss ideas and share the information, knowledge together, not just a one-sided thing. Okay, and of course, with the General Assembly then is getting the litigation committee together. Again, there's been a few Indianians that have had questions on situations that they're in. That at this point there isn't a litigation committee standing for anybody that's willing to take that time yet. So I've been offering what support I can through to be able to help support them as much as possible up until this point. But just so you know that they are coming. We just need those men and women that are fully armored up, ready to be able to support this, to stand up to be able to help support this. All right, so, and then the militia assembly, and that's to begin the education and training is essential. The very first basic CERT training for emergency response, that is something that I would be able to present all of the training, the main training of it, because I and my husband did actually go through that training in Indianapolis a few years ago. We were big supporters in helping with the community. We also helped with Red Cross along, till we figured out what their real role and everything was. But we've always been ones that were big supporters and seeing how we could be able to support our community. And so we did go through that training course and went to Indianapolis's main headquarters and got a tour there through that training program. The one part is that there is a hands-on training element to it that I'm not certified to be able to provide that kind of a training. So that is something of connecting with one, because one of the emergency responses, the whole point is Gibson County does have an emergency response. I'm trying to work out how I can be able to connect to see how we can be able to bring that hands-on portion, but it's free to the community for that training. However, it would mean you would have to show up and come, because it's a hands-on training for that piece of it. The rest of the emergency response training can be done through Zoom and YouTube calls, things like that. But the hands-on part is one that has to actually be done where it's with an instructor there to be able to show you, because it's about teaching you how to apply bandages, tourniquets, things like that. You have to actually do it. So that's the piece of that training that we've got to start working with at a local level, connecting with those in our militia that are ages 21 to 65 that would like to be able to reach out to their emergency management on their county and start opening that communication to see about how to get that training for CERT, the basic training, and get a hands-on going and see how we can start getting that moving forward. Would be awesome. If that would be a great way to support your county.
Hey, Christine,
Yes.
I've seen Antonio Rodriguez. He got his microphone fixed. He keeps buzzing in and out, muting and unmuting. I was wondering if you might want to ask him if he wants to get on the record.
Do you want to try again now, Antonio?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yay! Welcome.
Oh man, I've been having problems with this thing.
Well, technology. Look, my camera's not even back on yet.
Well, I'm listening to two programs here on the TV and in the phone here.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, technology. It's not the friendliest or the smartest. What county are you on?
Porter.
Porter. Awesome. Let's get you. I'm going to scroll up here and get you on here as well. Welcome, Porter County. Woohoo!
Yeah. I was trying last week too. I couldn't get nothing through.
Oh yes, it's been a technology issue nightmare trying to get all this figured out because some calls I can do. I've been doing with OBS and some with Zoom, but through YouTube. So I just started bringing it to YouTube. There is a 2 months, maybe not even that long, right, Tom? We just finished the vote to change the schedule for when the assembly calls are, so that's when we start opening up to YouTube. Awesome. All right, you're officially on there, Antonio, for Porter County. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. You too.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom, for giving me the heads up on that. It's helping me with that because I can't always navigate all the windows going on here. I appreciate your help. All right. Okay, so we have Hamilton, Steve on Hamilton. Might as well pop over real quick. Okay, so let me get you on here too, Steve. Get you in there. All right, anybody else popping in real quick before I get back to that?
Which one should I listen to, the phone or the TV?
Whichever works better for you. Right, it's whatever one's going to come through for you. I mean, I'm getting
on the TV great, but
I have to have YouTube open too, so that I can still be able to check the chat. So I had to turn the volume off of YouTube so that my voice doesn't echo in.
So should I turn off my mic or?
Yeah, it's catching me in the background. So yeah, go ahead, turn. And so what you can do is if you wanted to speak up, do there's an emoji thing where you can raise your hand.
Okay.
Let me see where they have little things you can do. What is that?
Oh, I see. I see the program on the TV is running late.
Yeah, it has a delay. It has a lag to it.
I see what's going on. Yeah. I see what's going on here. Okay. It seems like the phone.
Yeah, and I can't watch that. It messes with
Let me see if I can turn my mic off.
All right. So we'll go ahead and we're back here. We finished up. So of course, the education and training for the militia assembly. So it's going to be for populating our counties and populates our militia. Builds and fosters healthy, vibrant communities. All right. So here are these General Assembly standing committees of the whole that we need to get moving forward. Okay, so we have various subcommittees, but the main cores are the General Education Committee, produces educational materials and programs for the general membership and public. The new member orientation committee provides support and educational guidance for new members to overcome prior indoctrination and fear and dependency issues. Events committee plans and executes events, meetings, and elections setup. Records committee assists and oversees recording secretaries. Treasury committee assists and oversees treasury functions. Oversight committee provides general oversight and forum complaints. Ombudsman committee provides conflict resolution, arbitration services. Vetting committee approves membership and reviews candidate eligibility. General elections committee handles notices and candidate publications, sets dates, promotes participation in elections, provides ballots, poll watchers, ballot security. Office of the Marshal at Arms ensures the safety and decorum at all meetings and events. Caretaker of the flag works with the elections committee to secure ballots. The International Business Standing Committee, because those were all the General Assembly committees. Now, so International Business Standing Committees. This committee is composed of state citizens responsible for conducting international business for the Assembly, including setting up the state organization needed to complete reconstruction of the Confederation and Federal Republic. International Education and Security Committee reads and assesses international and global news and trends, keeps up with security issues and concerns, is briefed on international issues impacting the states of the Union, may make presentations and recommendations to the General Assembly. Here's a key point that someone that could have been brought forward is, does anybody realize that some of the that waste from the Ohio derailment was taken to Putnam County? We have Putnam County, right? Putnam County, Indiana. Who gave that permission to send that waste to Indiana? That would have been an issue that our state, the business assembly, could have brought forward to discuss. Right? That is the federal government that did a screw up and on another state, therefore international, and illegally converted us into the whole process and brought that waste over to Indiana.
Christine, didn't they stop that before it happened? I thought they did.
Okay, well, that would be something to go look up to research further as to follow up on it, right?
No, I understand it. I thought you might have known. That was the question. I thought they stopped it before it got done.
Well, I would have.
I'm not sure.
My last knowledge was that was what they were doing, was moving the waste over into Putnam County. So, but that would be an example. My point is that's an example of the types of topics that the International Business Standing Committee would be able to discuss. Right? Congressional Committee vets candidates for congressional offices in the Continental Congress, and once the Reconstruction is complete, will also vet candidates for the United States congressional delegation, will receive nominations, publish election notices, conduct elections for these offices, provide ballots, and secure and announce the election results. So we're working towards the congressional committee. So the International Business Standing Committee has to be formed in the first place. Then it will build the Educational and Security Committee, and as we're ready to go to the federal level, federation level for the Continental Congress. Okay. All right, so the General Assembly Standing Committee. So here are the committees for this. So we have Court Venue Committee. Court venue seeks accommodations for the courts to hold session, negotiates use of our public buildings for this purpose, serves notice that our public courts are restored, invokes Ex parte Milligan 2 U.S. 71. Law Education Committee evaluates educational opportunities to familiarize members of the Assembly about our public law and its administration, past and present. As you can tell, she's got the two highlighted in red. So these are the priorities to get in place right now. And then the others will come along as more members come along to build. So then we have the Jury Pool Committee. Develops pools of competent and eligible jurors to serve on both trial juries and grand juries, administers selection of jurors, reimbursement of expenses, and other issues related to maintaining and caring for the jurors. Then there will be a Court Oversight Committee, provides necessary oversight of the public court system and its operations to ensure fairness and proper procedures, investigates claims of malfeasance, incompetence, or bias. Sheriff's Committee works with the county sheriffs to evaluate and bring forward the concerns of the Assembly County Sheriffs to better assist them in the performance of their duties. Coroner's Office Committee takes on the oversight functions of the Coroner's Office, investigates complaints, and works with the coroner and his staff to improve their service and capabilities, record keeping, and end-of-life services. So that's why the coroner role is under the General Assembly. Litigation Committee works with the Assembly members who have active litigation concerns to assist them with asserting their position with respect to the foreign courts and educating them to avoid entrapment. And so we're starting here, right? So that we can be able to help support those on Indiana. And it's assisting them to assert their position with respect to the foreign courts and educate them to avoid entrapment. This is not where anybody is going to go stand in court for them to do any kind of speaking for them or anything like that. This is just to give them support and assistance so that they can assert their own position. Check one more time. Okay. Over there and switch back here. Okay, so with the militia, there are special purpose committees. There's a membership committee, evaluates candidates and vets them for specific jobs within the Assembly militia. So now there's a layer within the militia to do this, so that for the various support services for the militia, to encourage participation in the militia, understanding of the militia's role, and support of the militia's functions. Obviously, these are all good roles, the militia, to support for those that are former military. Some would have a lot of the practical experience to be able to help bring this forward. But again, former. Right. Provisions Committee acts as the quartermaster for the militia, evaluates needs and means to meet those needs for equipment and other provisions needed to carry out militia duties. Then there's the Education Committee for the militia to develop tests and educational materials and programs to train the militia members. Operations Committee develops short and long-term operational goals for the State Assembly Militia, creates plans to implement projects and goals, evaluates militia readiness, acts as oversight for the militia, works with the Ombudsman's Office to resolve complaints related to the militia and militia service, works with the Peacekeeping Task Force to coordinate joint operations when appropriate, with constitutional sheriffs and continental marshal service personnel. Okay. And this is also where it's going to be important that we need to get our militia actively working and engaged in bringing this information together. We're going to see land mass changes. We're going to see weather changes. Saturn moved into Pisces on March the 7th and will be in Pisces till 2026. The last time that happened was 30 years ago. That's a cycle that it takes Saturn 30 years to go one full cycle all the way through to get to Pisces. It'll start a new cycle in Aries middle of 2026. And each time when Saturn comes in, it brings in heavy flooding. It brings in volcano action. So we need to be prepared. I don't know how many, I know since at least 2012 that YouTube has been everywhere telling people, and all the alternate media groups that have come along, prepare. You need to figure out how to grow and store your own food. Stop relying on them to prepare your food. And you have to also store your own food. You have to be able to figure out what you would do in emergency. And if you do have others that are around you that are in an emergency situation. So there's going to be a lot of things that we are here to help each other with, because they're not coming. Whoever it is, that external source from the US is not coming to help. You are going to be your help. The person standing, the man or woman standing next to you, you're going to be each other's help in that moment. You're going to be that first help. I would want to know how to help somebody. I would want to make sure I know how to help them. Because also, just like with Christ saying, love others as you would love yourself. I want to know how to help someone else, because I want to make sure, I want to know there's going to be that love, that someone's going to be there to help me. Right? Because I won't know what happened. Something could happen that I would need somebody to help me in that situation. There could have been an earthquake and the walls fell down and the wall fell on me, and the neighbor just happened to go by and hear me and was able to come by and pull me out. Right? It's not going to be, if I wait for a county or city cop here or the fire department to come, they're not going to come here, because they're going to be dealing with the most immediate emergencies that are right in front of them as they go along as well. So don't think just because you're 5 minutes away that they're going to get to you in 5 minutes. There could be literally an explosion that happened right in front of them. They're going to have to deal with that emergency that's right in front of them first anyway. So don't wait on somebody else. We've got opportunities to be able to help each other, but we've got to be able to start caring for each other instead of being so hiding and, not wanting to be there to support each other. And this is the best way we can be able to come together to be able to help figure out how we can be able to support each other in times are changing. It's happening. So these are ways to be, and it's Indiana. The weather changes in a heartbeat anyway. We all know that. Right? And so it's not like they aren't basic. It's not like it's not basic information we would need to know in any other time as well. Okay. So outreach, new and improved website. This again is for the Washington Assembly. I am so far at this point in time, the Federation has been supporting the website for the Indiana Assembly. The Indiana Assembly has supported the domain name, keeping the domain name going. I have worked on getting a web hosting process going and working with a new domain. I'm working to try and get all that background stuff set up to make it for it to be available to the public to transition over. In that, because along with it, a lot of the other things, the mail servers, mail providers are having issues with emails that come from the Indiana Assembly. So some are not sending email from me out to Indianians. Some Indianians, they're trying to send mail in and getting undelivered, trying to get sent to me. So trying a different option of a domain using @home on Indiana, which is the term used on the unique American State National auto plates that were voted in that has @home on Indiana. So just that is in process as I'm working to get that website up. Again, at this point in time, the Federation has been hosting the website for the IndianaAssembly.org. I have been doing everything that's up on that website, and as it's been maintained and the recordings, links put up and everything, that's been at this point in time has been coming from me. So so now I'm working on migrating things over to the new website. Again, if there are those out there that have web design experience and are interested, and this is a way that you can be able to help support the Indiana Assembly on helping with any kind of design support for web hosting. Greatly appreciated. Okay. All right. Again, because this presentation is based on the Washington Assembly, again, these are things that Terry has put in place for the Washington Assembly. So they've been stand up the militia in each of their counties. So they already have a man that is supporting them with getting each of the counties to stand up with the militia. They need county representatives to work on the team. So that would be the same thing we would need, our county representatives, and building a team of working directly to start building within each county. So if you're interested in for your county, we have an email, militia@theindianaassembly.org. If you're interested in doing the same thing here on supporting for your county with the militia, send an email there. We'll get that. We'll start building that network. Veterans outreach. Also, these are ways that Washington is supporting through veterans outreach by connecting with the VFW, Eagles, Moose Lodge, VA hospitals, Veterans Affairs. So those that are interested in wanting to start joining a group that's wanting to start connecting and communicating with these groups are welcome. That's a way that we can start doing that here as well. Okay, so committee focus. So a paperwork expert committee is what they have there for the Washington Assembly, and they have a chair for it. So they've got active people. You're seeing names listed for Washington Assembly, where there are others that are doing more to actually step up and start and making the support happen. Building a team for paperwork experts to assist people with their questions. So that's an opportunity there that we can be able to work to support here. Welcome committee. There they have 2 members chairing that. They're having a little bit of an issue bringing that forward, but there should be a welcome committee. There should be where there's a means to welcome those that did just get papered up. Thoughts that what I've tried to present to new nationals through the years is have a flag lapel pin or a hand flag. There was something I tried to give them that was of, of the peace flag so that they could be able to have it with them of something. But, everyone would like, a little fun gift set of sorts, or, even just having that, have a card that is sent to them that says, welcome, welcome home, American State National, and have other Indianians that have, signed that card to welcome them home on the land. Just, it doesn't take much, but things like that would be supportive, to be able to help connect new nationals on Indiana. Okay, so they're also focusing on a land patent committee. They have a chair and they are working with the land patent template. I'm sure we would be able to find that information on Mattermost. Those that are at least papered up were given the opportunity to gain access to Mattermost to be able to connect with other papered up and armored up nationals and citizens countrywide to be able to support each other through these processes of bringing course correction about. They're putting together a road show to get their county standing. So we want one ASN or ASC in each county. Right now, Washington at the time in February, they only had 10 counties left to finish, to get at least want to have every county populated. And it only takes one Indianian on that county to present their birth certificate, 2 witness testimonies in 1779 to populate that county. And Indiana has 92 counties. And like I said, we have 26 that are populated at this point. And it's in my previous presentation, but we have another round that are so close to populating their county as well. All right. So then there's the training focus. So we've got to start doing litigation common law training. So this, although it has Thursday, 2 p.m., that is not for us. We have not agreed to any kind of training on this aspect. This is something that we do need to start building at this point in time. Previous recordings are out there on the indianaassembly.org. If you go to the top menu bar and actually click on calls, it'll take you to a list of all the different types of calls that have been done throughout the years. And it takes you to each of those pages so you can go through past recordings of each of the calls. And you will be able to, no litigation training calls had been started at all yet. It was only the common law of going through Brent Allen Winter's training calls. Also on Mattermost, there is a channel for common law training where they were actually going through Brent Allen Winter's common law training course. And so that is something that if we wanted to as well, to do the purchase from the assembly perspective, the course itself, and then present it to the assembly as a training course, we could be able to, that's something that is a possibility. And or those that want to purchase the book, whether in physical book or PDF, and like I said, are interested in having a study type training, until we get started here, because eventually, you all are going to be stepping up to support these types of trainings for others. So again, if you're interested in doing things like that, you can email, well, that's litigation common law training. At this point, just email records at theindianaassembly.org if you're interested in picking back up and working with doing the common law training. Again, as a study group, not at, because I can easily read the book and read through the questions and just put the recordings out there, and then I could do it on my own time if that were the case. But that's not helping anybody actually take in the knowledge. The purpose is to have that discussion with each other, bringing up questions with each other, and having that interaction with each other. And if you're interested in doing that, we definitely can work on getting that moving forward. All right. So then there's at federation level, there's the offer with John Petruccio, where he does a universal self-governance training. I do have an email that goes out about that with the details. And the 1 to 3 p.m., that is Pacific time, again, because this is Washington's presentation. So you'll have to convert. And I think the email has the breakdown for Central and Eastern times for you. This is to help you become more than you are today. You're not what you are. How will you show up? How will you step into your destiny? All right. Okay, so things to think about: food, water, healing. Figure out how you can come up with free energy. What ways are you doing to come up with free energy? And is there a way that how can you share that with others so that they can be able to gain on that free energy as well? How are you working with food and farm production that we can be able to start bringing forth? Because many are going to need the knowledge of even taking care, growing, starting all of that for their own food, because there's so many out there that all they know is go find it on the shelf, open the package, and pop it in the microwave, right? So how many are going to even need that from the very beginning of how to even learn how to care for their own food production at this point? We are wanting to bring forward healing centers, anthroposophic studies. So we can actually bring healing centers, not these hospitals that are for death. And then, of course, working with biostructures, permaculture, nutrient dense food, structured water. It's a very common thing, unless you have had your own land soil tested. For the most part, for at least from what I'm seeing on the various YouTubers I've been following, learning through this process, because I've got to start, I'm working on my own garden as well, is most are heading into the, raised bed or container growing forms, in that because their soil is contaminated in some form or other because of all the chemtrails. And so they're not able to grow right in the direct soil. Or it is that because they are in the city and they don't have the land, so they've got to go some kind of a container format to do some growing. So it's learning how to, so a lot are going to, need to learn how to work with more microgreens as opposed to going into a full growing season of some of those vegetables and stuff. So learning those different steps. And again, these are things I've been bringing forth in our own regular assembly calls and are on the past recordings in the presentations. Okay, so Washington has set forth, these are their goals. Continue American Rescue Operation. That's what we are in, is an American Rescue Operation. They want to triple or quadruple their numbers. So evidently the year part didn't get updated. This part didn't get updated in their presentation for more current, but it's an updated information from them. 2021, 575 people interested, 160 became American. That's a 27% conversion rate. 2022, 401 people more interested, 81 of those became interested. So their conversion rate from 2021 to 2022 fell some. The overall conversion rates, though, are pretty good because it is in above 20%, but obviously need more people interested. And that means that there are also, as you can see in the presentation, that there are names of those that are actively supporting and sharing roles. So that's why they have the movement happening. Vetting committee process and procedures are in place there. They already have their committee ready to serve the assembly. They have stand up in their counties for militia and CERT teams in every county, and working to establish healing centers in every county. So that's something, we want to focus on as well. There are various healing modalities out there. I myself work with crystals, as well as, and many may think that it's woo-woo, and there are many Christians out there that think that it is of the devil. But if you will look at Job 38:32, God did ask Job, do you not know the Mazzaroth? What is the Mazzaroth but the zodiac? So I do follow astrology. As you can tell, that's why I brought up about Saturn. It is not about any kind of fortune telling, things like that. It's about actually working with the energies that have been provided for us, that there are positive and negative energies. And if we do know the stars, we were told in Revelations to look to the stars. If we do know what planets are in at what time, what zodiac, it shows the year, it has the time, it is the mother of all science. Okay, so that's part of what the church's corruption was, to make you get away from that, even though it clearly states it. And if you'll notice, Job, as in Job 38:32, stating that don't you know the Mazzaroth? Okay, why wouldn't they translate the word Mazzaroth, the zodiac? They translated everything else, but they wanted to keep the Christians for the lack of knowledge, because even Christ said, my people are dying for the lack of knowledge. So there's a lot out there that we need to start bringing forward. Just learning true astrology will also be able to help you in learning how to heal your own body, and come to the true Christ within. So various things of other modalities to bring forth healing centers, of things that while they had the secret societies, those secret societies became corrupted. It's the same, the tools are still the same. The tools are not inherently positive or negative. They were actually given to us as a tool to be able to help us. It's still based on what our intent and purpose is. If we're using them specifically to hurt others, well, yeah, you're going to reap what you sow. If you're using them to help support and bring long life and health to others, then it will be there for you as well. So other healing modalities that are out there, many work with, there's Reiki, there's yoga, there's Chinese acupuncture, there's all various things to be able to bring forward here that are actually healing methods that have been proven to heal. Okay, so then it goes on with their goals. Establish special purpose grand jury and invoke ex parte Milligan. Now, let's see. I think this ended up changing because then it got updated because it was dealing with Terry's case itself. So that was all because they were able to go ahead and invoke it at that point because of her case. But they had already started sending out the notices as well anyway. And because of her court case, the jury for the Washington Assembly issued 5 indictments. Now that jury was dissolved August 7th of 2022. So the jury's only in session for however long it needs for the case, but you're for the actual jury aspect of the case. But then your jurors supporting the whole structure as well of the court system. So that next step is to start reconstructing the trial court. So that's where they're at on that aspect for Washington. Okay, so then they were establishing their Treasury Department. So they had their department, their goal is to get their Treasury people vetted. So of course, Treasury means then it is also going to be a federation level. It is Treasury, therefore there will not only be the regular background check, but the added part for finance. And that background check then will be presented to, because that man or woman steps up for a citizen role. This is a citizen role within the Treasury Department to be on that committee. And then the assembly then state coordinator presents to the federation those members to go through the federation's vetting process. So then the federation goes through the vetting process. So the treasurer and recording secretary making sure that those men or women are qualified. And then it's the federation that determines through their background vetting check whether or not they agree for them to be members of the Treasury Committee at that point. For the Washington Assembly, they ended up opening a club account for, it's called Boeing Employee Credit Union that they have there in Washington. So she was able to get a credit union account open for Washington Assembly, and then they're working to add their additional signers. And then she'll be then handing off the treasury functions from coordinator to Treasury Department. Woo, that would be a great day too. And then they can then start executing a budget and moving forward at that point. So you're seeing movement happening and how those movements are, how they're occurring. They're working on putting together a functioning banking committee. And that it says execute to Jim Fulton's budget. If you remember earlier on, Jim Fulton on Washington is the one that is supporting them with their leading, building their militia assembly. So that is so that the banking and Treasury Committee can be able to help support the militia for him. And then they're working on the reconstruction of the business assembly. And they have someone there that is standing up to support that aspect for them. Okay. Oh, okay. So that was what their goals for 2022, 2023. They went on with and establish a jury pool committee. So they have a lead for their committee there, manual and detailed process established. And now they're working to reconstruct the trial court there because they did the grand jury through Terry's case. So now their step is to reconstruct trial court. Establish their Treasury Department. So they're finishing this up here with that and following through with the banking committee, finishing with that. Evidently that must have been, August 7th, even finishing that up. So some of this information was later on in the year. So that's why it carried over for the first part of 2023. All right. So notice of fraud and treason to course correct the course system and to bar attorneys. Remember I said there's that a bundle of notices that need to be sent out, right? Notices, and here's where they've already sent these notices out. Notices sent to Western and Eastern District Courts and bankruptcy courts. Notices sent to military at federal level. Treasury Department, Janet Yellen, U.S. Secretary of State and Washington Secretary of State. Notice sent to Commission on Judicial Conduct. And they're going to continue to send to all 135 courts in Washington. Okay, so pay attention. The notices have to act, you have to actually serve them. You can't just, well, okay, Anna printed it, it's a public record. Now let's sit and wait and twiddle our thumbs to see what they, no, we have to actually serve the notices. All right, and I have said in previous calls, and there is a link on the Debt Redemption Center as well, that there is a link that has that is to the notices. That is one combined PDF of all of them that you can print, that if you're wanting to send to help support getting these notices out. It would be helpful if you would let me know who you sent that notice to, so we can start keeping track of notices that are getting served, and as many notices that you can be able to send out to be able to help the assembly would be helpful, as well as it's less that I've got to take the time to come up with getting that envelope put together, getting it ready, and even getting it to the mailbox and sent out too. There are things that, you know, that even though it may not seem like much time, it does take a few minutes to get all that put together, that, you know, to be able to get those notices sent out. Okay, so they've also served notice to U.S. trustees, sent to federal, regional, and local trustees. They sent Treasury Department again, Yellen and Secretary of State, Washington. Okay, so strategy for working with corporations and course corrections. So they've got a list of people who are working now on Washington to start a course correction strategy. So why not? Movement's happening there. Let's get moving here. So once they have a strategic plan, they'll meet with, so they're wanting to meet with Secretary of State for Washington, Steve Hobbs. They're wanting to meet with the Provost Marshal Lewis McCord, William P. Morse, the Washington Association of Sheriff Tom Jones, Washington Attorney General. So they've even got a list of all those that once they have a strategic plan in play of who they're wanting to then come to the table with to start connecting with, and how to integrate to bring the Republic back into play. How are we going to do this? Because we've all got to be able to talk. We've all got to be able to come together and realize we're owed our seat at the table. Okay, so here's a way to be able to support the Washington Assembly. And so that was the end of their presentation, of Terry's presentation. I thought that was great and well informed of going through each of the process. And that's a great, I think that's a great tool to go over each year with the assembly, to refresh and renew what all is needed to get things moving forward on the state, get things going. All right, so we'll take a moment. Do we have any questions, comments?
Hi, Christine. This is Tom on Lake County.
Hi.
Did you get my letter envelope for the baby deeds?
I have not. Did you? How did you send them?
Certified mail, actually. And you got couple little gifts inside the envelope, so I hope you got them.
Yeah.
You should have them, or they're coming. I mailed them last week.
I haven't gotten anything.
Okay, I'll double check.
And I was just at the post office yesterday too, while our guy is there, the little guy.
All right, I'll check the tracking number.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I got one more question on the travel kit.
Okay.
I click on the link and it goes to, there are no other appointments available on the new plate. Are you aware of that?
Okay. Thank you for letting me know. And I will, first thing in the morning, I'll go in and run through, because it only allows me to do so many at a time. So I'll go in and update that.
So you need an appointment to do that? I thought it was just kind of
It's
like.
not really making an appointment. It's only to be able to do it through that tool to be able to post the payment. You're not actually making an appointment. It even says it in
Okay.
the description. You're not actually making an appointment. It's only to be able to go through that process, through that service to make that post the payment. And it gives you a questionnaire thing at the end. So it helps me collect the information. It's not you're not actually scheduling anything. I'm not meeting with you at all for it. Okay.
All right, it's not working, so just so you know.
Okay, yeah, I'll go through and see what's going on with it. Thank you for telling me. Yeah, I can see I wouldn't know. I wouldn't be able to know on this side. So cool. Thank you. I mean,
Right.
not that it's cool that it's doing it, but I will I will look that up in the morning and see what's going on with those. Because you're definitely wanting to get that unique plate ordered, don't you?
Yeah, and also on that travel kit thing, I just sent out 6 different notices to my chief of police in my town of Lowell.
Awesome.
The town manager, because we don't have a mayor,
Mhm. Mhm.
and the governor, Holcomb, Secretary of State,
Right on.
the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, and the sheriff, Lake County Sheriff, I sent it to. So you were saying in the call that I can make copies of this and it'll be on my notice on the LRO of the notice I sent?
No. What I meant was I can post on the website, starting a list of everybody that has been sent a notice. So we can start compiling who has been sent notice to, not anything having to do with your
Okay.
address. Yeah. No,
Okay.
this is so we can start compiling a list that's also available to Indianians to be able to go out and look at and say, well, who has been noticed so far? And maybe we can even start compiling a list of who still should be noticed, right? And then that way, so if those come in to say, well, who else can we send to, they can start putting that together, working on that too. But obviously, the more the merrier. The more they have of physical pieces of mail, envelope, letters, pieces of paper sitting on their desk represents each man and woman, as opposed to one piece of paper representing 500 people. They're not going to see 500 people with all that, right? But yet,
Right.
if everybody is everyone has their name on a sheet of paper, of 500 sheets of paper, now they'll recognize it, right?
Yeah, I did some good research. I mean, the envelope I sent out to all these guys was probably about a half-inch thick. They're probably not going to go through it, but I had some good Supreme Court articles that
Right.
saying the right to travel and more on the
So do
right to
you have
travel.
all this
All
in
my
like
personal info.
Are you open to have
information
this
go
in
along
a
with it.
PDF that I can share, put it out there with this? We start this page on the website too of notices. Do you have did you make a copy of everything you sent?
Yeah, oh yeah, I keep all that stuff.
Do
Yeah.
you have if you put it in like one PDF, I can then put a link to it out on the website that others can then share
Do the same.
what you added too, if they wanted to add that in addition too. If
Okay.
you're good with that. I mean,
Yeah.
don't include anything that's personal, obviously, that you don't want to know about.
Yeah, I mean, it's all, pictures, my American State national credential card, my passport card, which is, it's really all codes and stuff for the de facto government anyways, state and state national. But I figured I'd give them all the information. They can do all their legwork on their side, and I give them 21 days to respond. If they don't respond, it's a deem of acquiescence. So we'll see where it goes. I'm interested to see how my locals police, if they end up trying to tag my car.
And that would
I got all legal plates. I'm all legit, but I sent them notice that you're going to be seeing this. This is a movement and it's happening, and you better be aware of it. So, I put in better language than that, but in theory, that's really the gist of it.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, and I'll keep everybody posted as far as what happens with
yeah, great. And
law
then
enforcement.
we'll put that up, and if you are open to the letters, what you added, so that other Indianans can see what you sent with, so they can see, okay, well, he added this of their own, documentation to add with, like you said, you did a copy of your credentials, so that way they could see, what did you send? What verbiage did you use?
Yeah, I mean, I sent them all my copies of my reconveyance, my auto, the whole 9 yards. I didn't hold anything back. So
Right.
it was like a half-inch thick. So, I'm just showing all the evidence that I have and all the knowledge I have that we have the right to travel in our personal property instead of a driver under commercial commerce. So,
Right. Absolutely. Great job, Tom. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
all right,
That
yeah,
is
keep an eye out
amazing.
for that envelope that I sent you, because I sent you
Right.
a bunch of registered
Yeah,
mail.
and I was
stickers
just
and-
there yesterday, and there was nothing there.
All right. Like I said, I'll track it and I'll send you an email if where it's at.
Okay. Yeah, and as
Okay.
soon as I get anything, I'll let you know as well. Obviously, whether it's that I'm either just got it and gonna process it, or I've already did it that quickly and already back out to you. I do that too. So.
Okay, I yield.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Awesome.
You're welcome.
All right, any other comments, suggestions, questions before we wrap up here for the evening?
Yeah, I got a question.
Okay, go right ahead.
I received a check from the state of Indiana. It's an income tax check. I haven't paid no taxes at all for Indiana last year. And I got a check from them. Me and my wife got a check. She got $325, and I also got $300. I haven't cashed that check.
All right.
And I want to know should I cash the check? Because
Have you done?
They did take
I've
some
got
taxes.
paperwork from you sitting right here.
Oh, okay.
Does that include I got your,
2 witnesses.
I
sent that out last week.
Have
2
you done
witnesses.
your revocation of election to pay taxes yet to the IRS?
Yeah, I did that. I talked to Shirley. I want to say, I don't know, maybe 4 months ago.
Who's Shirley?
Pickens.
She's not with us.
Right. She's down in Arizona, but she's with the group.
Yeah, she's not. Yeah, she did. I mean,
I sent the
she's been
papers
doing a
in.
lot of things to support, but you got to be very careful. She does a lot of things that kind of keeps you going in as a U.S. territorial citizen. So you got to be very careful. Okay. But please, what goes on other states is not what happens here on Indiana.
Well,
Okay.
I sent the Indiana form because I wrote down to Indianapolis because I haven't voted over 20 years. And
Right.
I sent them the form and they replied back. And they also, the tax court from Indiana replied back too, said that they didn't have no jurisdiction. When I send those letters, those 2 letters.
I didn't know of any letter to go to the Indiana tax court.
Well, I'm just telling you what I sent. I talked to her because I went on the website, Anna's website, and I got some copies of 928 article. And then I sent those forms in. I want to say, maybe 5-6 months ago. And they replied, the state court from Indiana replied saying that they didn't have no jurisdiction for that.
Keep that for your records.
Right.
Keep that for your records.
Well, I also got the records for when I sent them the forms too, to registered mail. Because it said send it to registered mail instead of certified mail.
Right.
So I sent them in. I got the records of that too. Right. But I got this check. I'm asking, should I cash it?
If you've already sent your letters of revocation, the thing is I mean, it's up to you whether you cash that check or not.
Right. Well,
but you're also accepting all that were to come with that check, right?
Well, I understand that, but
what you could do is go ahead, Tom. Did you have, or you're scratching your head?
Huh?
Okay. You know, you can write a, you know, you can do something to kind of like cancel the check, but send it back. Not
Right, I have a
not
question.
cashing the check, but
Yeah.
cancel the check, send it
Right.
back, so that, and say thank you, but no thank you. But that way they also can't turn around and cash that check for you either. See what I
Well,
mean?
the only reason why I asked the question is because, see, I didn't start paying state taxes till 4 months after. And so they collected 4 months of income tax from me. So I was just debating, well, I'll just give it to them, I guess.
Well, that check that you're referring to doesn't have anything to do with what you may have already put in right now. That's an extra thing they're trying to give you some extra money for. Albeit you put in all the money that goes in there anyway. But
Right.
it's still, I'm not going to give you that answer of whether you should cash that check or not. It's still on you of whether you cash that check or not, right? That's
True.
still going to be on you. I cannot make that answer for
No,
you.
no, that's cool. That's cool.
Right.
Okay,
So, but it was the one really at some point, you know, stop opening the mail from the IRS and returning their mail to them unopened, saying,
well, that's
unacceptable, and no consent, no contract, and stop the actual communications with them. Because every time they send a letter, they're baiting you into contract. So when you
right.
open the envelope, you've broken the seal.
Right.
So you're going to have to, even if you never cash that check, but because you don't rebut by returning it, they're going to think you accepted that pay, even though you actually don't spend it.
Well,
But
that's
you
kind of
opened it.
you're right. You're right there. But when you got a significant other that thinks you're crazy and think you're nuts because you're going into this, you know.
Oh, I totally get it. My
You know,
husband did not get on the record till the end of 2021. I totally get it.
I mean, I'm still bumping heads. You know, I'm still. I mean,
Right. And
I'm
that's
still a
something.
wacko and everything else. You know. But
Right.
you know, she just don't understand. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Mhm.
I do a lot of research myself, and I find out a lot of things. A lot of things.
Well, and that's, you know, that's up to you. If she wants to
Right.
cash it, that's on her. If she wants to go ahead and cash it, but then you decide what do you want to
She
do with it?
already-
Because that
right,
part's
she
in
already
your name,
cashed hers.
right?
Right. Exactly.
Then that way, if she wants to cash hers, that's on her. But then you can decide whether or not you do what with yours.
Right. Okay. My other question is, I didn't pay no taxes last year at all for the state. Okay. A new owner bought us over, and they sent me a letter saying that the new owner requires them that the Indiana doesn't have an exemption file.
Right. Right.
They don't.
Because they do everything, whatever you submit to the IRS, that feeds over to the states. Right? So once you get the IRS to stop, it'll feed through Indiana. They're only reporting to Indiana through that IRS transaction.
Well, that's
There's
what's
not going to
happening.
be a separate form to Indiana to say stop taking out taxes.
Okay.
And any form that you want to try to just put the word exempt on, the only thing they're going to stop is withholding. It's not stopping FICA and Medicare. That's where the theft is really occurring.
Oh yeah, right. I understand that. Right.
What's going to stop FICA and Medicare is, one, you got to do the W-4V. They may or may not reject it. It depends on the knowledge of that one that receives it. But if they decide that they're going to reject it for you, then you're going to have to take it on yourself to put it in writing, send them a letter. Does not need to be notarized or thumbprint, but has to be in your handwriting, stating that you elect to switch from a W-4 employee to a 1099 miscellaneous subcontractor, and that no further deductions are to be removed for any form of any sort, unless you have like retirement that you have coming out that you want to maintain, or if you do have a health insurance policy that you have to. but stipulate that in the letter. And then after that, state that you take full responsibility, should use the terminology, you take full responsibility should any tax be due. That's all they're wanting to know, is that that tax is going to be handled. They just need a piece of paper to cover their butt for the records. You have the choice to receive a W-2 or a 1099 miscellaneous. Okay.
Right.
Through
because-
that process, that's how you'll get Indiana stopped at the payroll tax aspect as well. Okay.
Okay.
All right. That's the only way you're going to get Indiana and federal stopped at the same time, is through that process.
Well, they're not taking federal out. They're taking state, and only because.
Listen, federal withholding, that's nothing.
Right.
They will adjust that. They'll set that to 0 all day and all night, however long you want. What you're trying to get out of is FICA and Medicare. That's the real tax that they're taxing. That's what you're working to get out of. The withholding is nothing. You just get the withholding out of your mind completely.
No.
Okay? That's just added on top. They give you that option so you can feel better that you can be able to play with that number, because they won't let you touch FICA and Medicare.
So that's the one I got to be working on.
That's what you're working to get zeroed out, is the FICA and Medicare. That's only going to occur by changing over to that change, because if they're not going to accept the W-4V, because that's official, that's your actual process to go by, because it was a W-4V that initiated the W-2. A W-4V is the actual correct way to get out of it, but they have no clue what a W-4V is, because in their mind, no one would ever want to get out of that system.
So I gotta fill one of those out.
Well, you're going to start with the W-4V, because that is the correct process. You're course correcting.
Okay.
If they deny it, then you'll go through what I said, with the letter, to handwrite a letter to request to be changed to a 1099 miscellaneous subcontractor.
1099 subcontract. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
But again, you'll have to do some work with it, because it still depends on the knowledge of that man or woman that receives your paper, that HR person or whoever that's doing it. It depends on what their corporate policy is. Don't think that you're going to be able to just snap a finger and they're okay. They accepted it. No.
Right. Well, that's what she
It's not gonna be
said.
something easy.
Right.
Okay. You'll have to work at it. Now, some have even done where they accepted that W-4V, okay, and just didn't question anymore, and saw on their paycheck that withholding was 0. So they thought, well, yeah, it worked.
Right.
No. They didn't stop FICA and Medicare. That's only the illusion. They give you withholding. That's so you can juggle, because you have the right at any point in time throughout the year to adjust that W-4 at any point in time of the year. Up, down, any way you want.
Okay.
And that's where they do the adjusting, is in that withholding, because so you can feel like you have some control of what that extra coming in and out there.
Okay.
All right. Now, you'll need to make sure that I get a copy of your cancellation of revocation, the revocation of election of pay taxes, and proof of mailing, so I can include it on your record.
Okay.
If you hadn't already. All right. And anything you have for voter registration, so we can include that for you. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything
Hey,
else?
Christine.
Yeah. Jeff, is that you
Jeff,
there?
yeah,
Hey.
yeah, Marion County. Hey,
Mhm.
quick, I just wanted to follow up with what you and Tom were speaking about the travel kit. I sent my registered mail of documents to my county sheriff
Mhm.
and neighboring sheriffs. I just figured I'd throw it out there for the record, just in case. Hopefully, it'll help someone in case they're feeling skittish.
Mhm.
I've noticed that when I sent my documents out to the to my county sheriff, I noticed that I've been followed by officers when I'd be traveling to work back and forth. I had some incidents where they would be following me, and all I had was that the private automobile
Right.
plate on my truck, and I haven't been stopped. And I've already noticed like 4 or 5 times I've been followed by my officers over there in my county, and I haven't been stopped. So I'm sure they
Right.
received my documents, but I'm just throwing it out there for what it's worth.
Well, and maybe that's because they're, they're interested, right? Because
That's
they're still living men and women, right? They're
Yeah.
seeing what's going on. They're
Right.
seeing the changes, right? So still be careful.
Oh no,
Obviously,
yes, yeah.
I'm
I
always
understand.
gonna, always want to protect yourself.
Right.
But
I'm
go
ready.
to one in that travel pack, the travel link that you got when you got your plate. In there
Yeah.
is that thick red line. There's a PDF for thick red line. And as well as they have a website, the thick red line. And that's material of how you can start opening that conversation with those in blue.
I don't have where can I find that link again?
Okay, so it's the thick red line. So when you ordered your auto plates, I had sent you the link that's a zip file with a bunch of stuff there. It's in there. There's a PDF of it in there. It's also on the 50 state website, the educational tab. It is, the PDF is there for the thick red line, as well as you can go to their website, because then they have other materials that you can be able to get, to be able to help educate you and support you in having the conversations. And then that will help you to start feeling a little more comfortable with them as well. And so maybe an opportunity will occur that you can start that conversation, right?
Oh, I have my binder full of like Tom said earlier, I have my binder full of all these documents from the Supreme Court and with my credential information in case I do get pulled over and they're curious or something. I'm ready to break that ice and just, amicably articulate it to them.
All right.
Again,
So we know right now we have 2 Indianians here that maybe we need to get set up where one of the Wednesday night calls or the opposite Sunday night call, have you both on where you like give us like a walkthrough of what your travel kit is that you keep with you, and give like a walkthrough so others can see, well, what all do you have included in there? And then we can start so they can see what that looks like. It's one thing to get a list of all, a zip folder of a bunch of documents and then go to print them. Do you really need all that or even print all that? Go ahead, Tom.
So I don't know if you were on Matters Most lately, but did you hear about that Chase Allen in Utah that got shot by them 5 cops?
No,
because he had the American state, he had the plate on the back, and he gave him a passport, and then they insisted on him getting out of the car, and he had a gun on him. One cop freaked out, yelled gun. They all backed off, started unloading 12 shots into the car, killed him just over a plate on his car. Our plate on our car, on our automobile. So that is a scary thought if you watch that video. You don't know who you're dealing with, the LEOs. So you really got to be careful how you handle it. I mean, you want to stick to your rights, but you don't want to be aggressive. Well, and I carry a gun. So, I mean, I know exactly what I seen that process. There's multiple videos from I don't know how they got the footage. It's on the cameras from the cops. They got everyone's video, chest camera video of this incident. It's scary.
Well, you said
It's
that they
real.
saw his gun, so that probably freaked them out instantly. So if you're armed,
Well, but
I would
I mean,
assume,
I got a gun, I stick it under my seat. And all they got to do
Right.
is see a gun. And then they one cop yelled, gun, gun, gun. They all started shooting at the car. They killed
well,
a
I mean,
kid,
just
25-year-old kid for nothing.
right.
So we got to be
That's sad.
careful.
Right.
We
No,
really
you're
got to
right.
be careful on how we
And
pursue
all the
this.
more reason we need to start getting together to have these, just, you know, have these study discussions with each other too, so we can start having, doing the dialogue back and forth, to start practicing how to talk with them, you know, working with each other, coming together in, you know, getting together with those on Lake County and those on Marion County, where you do join, you know, come together, you decide, okay, who can we talk with, you know, and
Right.
go together to have that conversation rather than have only one go, you know, and that then you can support each other through that as well.
I mean, you get some cop out there that's going to pull you over. He's not going to give a flying F about your paperwork that says the Supreme Court ruled against our right to travel. He is going to throw that in the garbage, in the curb, whatever.
Right.
He's not going
Right.
to care on the side of the road.
Well, and that's where
I
that's
believe
really
that,
more so
but
to
that's
have
when you
that.
gotta-
That's really
when you
more
have-
so to have that
sorry.
after conversation. The first part of it's going to be, one, you're not even going to answer any of their questions in the first place. You're not going to even, you know, allow it to get to an, you know, an escalated point either. So, you know, it's think
sensitive, but there's
about,
steps to it.
right,
There's just
right.
steps you have to be, like I said earlier, you have to be amiable about it, but you also, there's steps to it. You have to be careful,
Mhm.
like Tom's saying.
Mhm.
It's just, there's steps to it. And this is a good, you know, conversation to have, I guess later down the road in the future elsewhere. But I mean, like, there's just steps to it. Like if you're armed,
Right,
if it's
exactly.
concealed, just let them know ahead of time amicably so they won't freak out, I would say. But like, you know, there are some out there that are just a little loony. But like I said, if you're armed, my assumption would be, okay, it's concealed, it's hidden. So let them know you're armed. No one has to freak out. They know. And then, you know, next step from there is to identify yourself. Your American
See,
credential
this would all
card.
be a great, great area for our militia to work with, right? And start getting people together to start talking about these things, you know, help remind people you can't just go with that energy. I'm going to have that conversation one way or another, you know, no, there's you know, like Jeff says, you can't, there's steps, you can't just lead with that, you know, it depends on, you know, what the situation is. Like Tom, if you're on the side of the road, they're not going to want to look at all of that in the moment. But if you're seeing them at a restaurant, you know, locally, you know, and they've got a few minutes, you've got it with you then to then have that kind of conversation, you know, when it's not an emergency of sorts.
Well, in a couple of weeks after 21 days, I'm actually going to go see my chief of police, and I'm going to ask him to sit down and ask him what his position of how he sees what I sent him. And if he did any investigative work on the information I sent him to see if I am correct or whatever his belief system is, and to see what, you know, that's what I'm going to do, because I'm probably not going to get anything in writing from them. I know that.
Right,
but
right.
I want to see what my chief of police in my local town wants to know, or, you know, is his belief will be, you know, to the paperwork I sent. And I'll have
and
my answer.
maybe between now and then you can connect with others on Lake County there that would be able to come with you at that point in time, you know, to support.
I'd like to have
you.
witnesses coming in to actually verify what
we got a couple here on Lake County on tonight's call, you know, and that would be a great way that you could go with supporting each other in having that conversation.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's all
And then
about
you
breaking
gotta
the
have
ice
to
and then bringing it
follow,
up
you
to
gotta
the-
have it, you gotta share the information afterwards too, right? You gotta be prepared to let us all know what you did, how you did it, right?
Yep.
Cause
Hey,
we gotta
Christine.
get, but we get, right now, we're still in that, it's gotta be show and tell, we got everything we learn and we have to be able to show others so that they can be able to
Yeah.
see that's what Americans do, right? We figure out the path so that they can be, everybody else then follows along to get out, right?
Christine,
Yep.
if
Yes.
my chat on the Zoom, will it go into, show up on the,
Recording.
YouTube? No, on YouTube? It
I
won't.
don't think the chat in Zoom shows up on the YouTube chat. So you may have to go into YouTube. You should put that in there if you want it there.
Okay. All right, because everybody that's on Lake County right now, I think is on YouTube.
Is on YouTube, yeah.
Okay.
See what I
I got
mean,
on Zoom
Tom?
because I couldn't get everything on YouTube.
Right?
Yeah.
You got John there. You got Kenneth. All right, guys. You came to tonight's call. Tom's gonna be reaching out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Be prepared. We can do this. We can all do this together, right? We can do
Yep.
this.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Right.
Baby
And united we stand, right? As much as we can do coming together, it will be more stable because we are coming together.
Yeah.
All
I like
right.
to get, I like to get some phone numbers if I can.
Huh?
I said,
Well,
I would
that's
like to
all
get-
how y'all want to be able to, figure out how to connect and share that way. As you know, if you are in the Zoom call, you're at least papered up. So you have presented as a national, or you wouldn't have had the Zoom call link. So if y'all are wanting to, however y'all want to share, maybe the chat on here would be easier for y'all to share as opposed to YouTube.
Who's that, Brian?
No, this is Tony, Antonio.
Brian
You-
popped on up here for a minute, but he was on YouTube as well.
Yeah, I am too. I'm looking at us now.
Yes, but it's delayed. It's like
Right.
that messes with me bad.
Well, I like to get you guys, especially the guy in Lake County there, because I'm closer to Lake County.
Can you
than
see in your chat? Can you pull up your chat? He put it in there for you. On Zoom, the chat on Zoom, not YouTube.
Let me see here.
Well, I do wanted to say that. That's why I got on Zoom real quick, just to mention that. And on that note, you guys have a good night.
Awesome, Jeff. Hey, wait a minute. Don't leave that. We got to do our closeout so you can be a part of the closing out. Are you okay
sorry,
with
yeah.
that? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, do we have someone to motion to adjourn for in 2 weeks? The 26th of March. Do we have a motion to adjourn until the 26th of March?
A motion.
Jeff on Marion County. Do we have a second motion?
I second it.
Is that Antonio?
Yes.
Okay, and you're Porter County, right?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, I got you second on Porter County. So are we all in favor? Say yes.
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 Yes. Awesome. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Tom, Antonio.
Later,
Welcome,
y'all.
everybody.
Later, everybody.
Peace and love. If you could see me waving, I'm waving. Peace and
I'm
love,
driving, so I
everyone.
can't
Have
use
a
my
great
camera.
night.
All right, you
See you
too.
next week.
Bye.